everybody. My name is Rebecca Staples, and I am today's guest host for the Bigger Pie Forum podcast. I'm really excited to be here today with what I'll call these young folks to talk a little bit about what we have heard called brain drain. That is Mississippi either losing talent that we train here or failing to keep those college kids that come from other states and then maybe leave us. So before I get into questioning these folks, I think I would love for them to introduce themselves. So I'll start with you.
I'm Wade Mina. I'm a senior vice president at C Spire and grew up here in Jackson. And what really passionate about Mississippi. Want it to be a top state, and really looking forward to the conversation today.
Yes, Marcus Johnson, also a native Jacksonian. I'm a director over at C Spire as well. Passionate as well about Mississippi and Jackson, and looking forward to this conversation.
All right, Thomas Dunbar. I'm a partner at Rawson Yerger Insurance here in Jackson. Grew up here, moved around for a bit for college, after college, and back in town. Been back in town for the last 5 years, and really happy to be here.
All right. Okay, well, I can tell it's going to be a great conversation, but I want to level set a few things. We got some Jackson natives. I should tell y'all, I'm from the free state of Jones. So we got a little South Mississippi up here too. And then in case you haven't noticed, we have stripes and plaid on one side, vest on the other. So anyway, well, look, let's hop right into it. So every one of y'all born here in Mississippi, you've each had different journeys. Thomas, I want to go to you. So tell me why you're here in Mississippi, and is this a long-term plan?
It's a long-term plan for sure. We'll start with the easy question. Why I'm here, I think first, the family and the friends are here. I think that's what brought me back originally, the family. And then the cost of living and the quality of life is really hard to beat. I'd put that at point number 2. Family and friends, and then quality of life and cost of living. I always joke with Wade that, you can live like a Saudi sheik in Jackson for $50,000 a year. So, that's tough to beat. And that's why I'm here.
Well, that's interesting. I'd love to hear y'all talk about it because, as sort of a nerd, I am aware that Mississippi has low cost of living, but you said friends and family are number one, but then sort of like living like a Saudi sheik. Is that where your priority is, Wade? Friends and family, and then sort of financial matters, or?
Yeah, I would say that family first, and friends, and my job at C Spire. It's a family company, and so I've always wanted to work for C Spire, and I'm really passionate about it being a top company, a top tech company in the country.
Yeah. Okay. And Marcus, what about you?
Yeah, I think those same topics are the same reasons why I'm here. But I do want to talk about the career option. I think Thomas hit on first how you can live like a sheik. I've been very fortunate. I've worked for Mississippi-based companies, first at Trustmark and now at C Spire. And I feel like I hit the lottery because I was able to grow my career. And if we're talking about brain drain, some of the things that people will leave for is not for friends and family somewhere else, but most times just to find gainful employment that helps them grow, right? Not just in monetarily, but also in their career. So I feel like I've kind of been that sheik. I didn't know whatnot. I'm glad I got a title now. Thank you, Thomas. But now I've been in a sheik-like a status, I guess you could say, for the time that I've been a working adult.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I'm curious, do you think folks in your orbit, in your age range, is there a perception that you've got to leave Mississippi for the best jobs? Is that what y'all have experienced?
Unfortunately, I'll jump out there first, I guess. Unfortunately so. I mean, that is the narrative, whether it's true or not. Mississippi is a heavily manufacturing, agriculture focused state. And so if we're talking about career options for a lot of individuals who are now going to college, right? This millennial, Gen Z, now Gen Alpha, and these other groups now, they're highly intelligent. And a lot of individuals, not to say agriculture and manufacturing is not, but if we're not having competitive jobs, they have to look where they can grow, right? If they're not growing, they're going, is what we've seen. And so that's been the unfortunate part for those. But there's just so much still here. There's so much opportunity here. I think the things that Thomas and Wade, myself, we all talk about sometimes is that we're able to maximize our opportunities that we've had. And I think that's why we're on this podcast to kind of talk about those opportunities.
Yeah, that's great. Look, I love that. If you're not growing, you're going. I'm going to have to keep that in mind. What do you think about that, Thomas? I mean, what about this perception of good jobs?
Yeah, I guess that there is a perception that there are better or more exciting jobs in Austin, Nashville, Dallas, Atlanta. Seems like a lot of Mississippians end up in those states, and maybe that is true. At the same time, though, I think people just don't look closely enough, or they don't give Mississippi enough credit. I think there maybe not plenty of good jobs here, maybe not plenty of jobs like in those cities here, but I don't think that people give us enough credit or look here closely enough.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, one thing that I'm starting to see and on the AI side of Mississippi, there's a company called Voxo based out of Hattiesburg, and it's an AI VoIP company that's been around since I think 2005 or 2015. And in the age of AI, you can start up a business right out of college. Really, what comes to mind, you can build it a lot easier than you would have been able to in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to start businesses now. And I think there's going to be a lot of small businesses started up because of AI. And, I would like to be able to help create a place here in Jackson where it's easy for people to know how to start up and incubate businesses.
That is such a great point. So as we're talking about good jobs and perception and sort of long term of our state, glad you mentioned AI. One thing that I keep hearing, I'm going to call y'all the youth, okay, from the youth, is this concept of like, hey, I got a side hustle and I'm going to stay in one job and see if I can make this side hustle work. But it seems like the barrier to either creating an app or starting a custom shoe design, you have AI that can help enable that. So
Yeah.
do you think that is going to allow folks who may say, I can live anywhere I want to and I've got AI, why don't I come to Mississippi or stay here?
I definitely think so, especially with the no income tax that got passed. I think that gets phased out in 2030. I think the less taxes that people have to pay, they're going to want to move here and then start up a business that's thriving. And with AI, you could have your businesses that you work at, and with AI that's coming out are these agents, and you could have an agent start up that business for you, and it would go off and do that work around the clock while you're at your existing business, if your employer lets you. But I think there's a lot of potential there, especially with the phase out of the no income tax of more and more people wanting to move here for that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
I agree with Wade, and I'm glad you mentioned AI first. So I know that's a corporate objective at C-Spire for us to engage with it, and it has a lot of implications for Mississippi as well. You use the word creative, Wade, and that's what AI does. It allows you to create the future. I think the future is, or it does belong to the creatives in the future, right? Or we're not looking for the jobs that are of today. The jobs of tomorrow are going to be drastically different. If you're looking at how much money is spent just on work, you just put around $110 trillion out there. 60% of that is white collar work, the things that I do, Thomas, things you do and things like that. In the very, very near future, that won't look the same. So not only are we trying to make sure that Mississippi is on the forefront of individuals being able to create their own jobs, we know that the jobs that are here today are going to change, and that we want to make sure that Mississippi stays competitive, with AI as a tool. But I think it also gives us an opportunity, and I want to keep using that word because AI does give us an opportunity to do a quantum leap where individuals now can go and figure out what they want to do, what they want to be, what they would like to create, and then use technology to its best to further our community. So I think it's one of the quintessential tools that we can have here in Mississippi to help individuals realize why it's so great to be in Mississippi. All those benefits of low cost of living, low cost of living, our friends, our family. Well, we can circumnavigate all the other issues by creating some of our own solutions.
Man, I feel inspired.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about the Artemis, our astronauts going to the moon. We've got, Stennis Space Center. And so in this sort of culture of creativity, Thomas, is that what do you think creativity is going to be really key to?
Oh yeah, we've got creative people here. So yeah, absolutely. And to somebody's point earlier about the people who are trying to work a 9 to 5 and then also do something on the side to get out of the rat race. I think with the low cost of living here, this is the best place in the world to do it, especially when you can use technology to work here, but you can do work anywhere across the country or the globe. So I think that's a big selling point for us, that it doesn't cost much to live here, and you can if you're looking to save money and spend money on your grind or on your side hustle, this is a good place to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, why don't I ask y'all a question on that note? So let's run with this idea. I've read about the city of Natchez that had a remote work program where they paid folks who agreed to buy a house and get a job in Adams County to come. They would give you like a $5,000 stipend and some additional incentives. They had lots of families take advantage. Is that the kind of thing that would attract y'all to an area if you were outside of Mississippi and you're like, got a side hustle, I can do remote work? Would that be a good policy?
I think it could be. I think you want to almost set up the foundation for it, and then maybe give it a focus. Say, look, here we want you to start an AI startup, and this is the space. Here's a budget you can use to deploy your business, and here's the space that you're going to work out of. Right? Put it on the floors, market to museum trail, kind of like the Katy the Katy Trail in Dallas, or the other trail in Atlanta, and really create a tech hub all across Jackson and the metro area.
Same. I agree with you. What you do here matters more, in my opinion, right? It's so easy to be able to go to Dallas, Nashville, Atlanta, where things are established and moving quickly. But you talked about, tax credits, owning a home. These are things that are not too far off from what people generally want, right? We want to create families. We want to be able to have gainful employment. We want to have opportunities for friends to come over and for us to go over to other friends' house throughout our career. But even more so, we want to be impactful in our communities. I know these two gentlemen share that, that with other initiatives that we've had. And I think that that's a big thing and very attractive thing for Adams County to do something like that, to keep people there and creating community again. So, any of those incentives, I think those would be absolutely great options.
And I also want to say, going back to creativity, which you asked Thomas, I think 2 weeks ago, Morgan Freeman was here, and he was doing the Mississippi Symphony Orchestra Blues Edition. That he had his blues band based in the Delta, came down and performed at Thalia Mara Hall, and it was packed out. I think if Jackson can focus in on being the blues capital of the country, or in Mississippi, can really dive in and really make blues be its catalyst, like how Nashville's done with country. Then that will be more of that the arts coming in, and we have an identity that we grab hold on to, and then have that bring in that as our foundation on the art side.
So like an anchor to kind of draw folks in
like
around
a brand.
this creative.
Yeah.
Like a brand.
I think Wade, you're talking like just make it like what do you think of when you first think about Mississippi? What do you first think about when you think of Jackson? I think your approach with this, with like the blues, just like with just like with New Orleans and jazz, like you were saying with Nashville, us having a brand, something that we can be proud of, just like that event that you just spoke of, that C-Spire sponsored. I think that's a great opportunity. People want to be proud. I think young people want to be proud of something. And that brand is, like you were talking about, Wade, is a huge piece.
And they want to have a place to go to, and they want things to do. And I think community is just so important. And I think the most important community is your church that you get involved with. But that that entertainment, going to a blues. Ground zero. We talked to him about.
You want to go to a blues club Saturday night, church on Sunday morning. I get it.
Hey, it's all about balance. We got to have a little bit for everybody, right?
A little balance.
Yeah, they say blues is just depending on blues and gospel might be the only difference is the topic, right? If anything. So it's a good thing. Something exciting.
We got to get more cheerleaders too. We don't. Wade and Marcus Yard, they're great cheerleaders for the state, and I think that's one of our big problems is we don't cheerlead ourselves well enough. We don't broadcast our positives nearly as well as we should or we could, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. But just getting the word out and being positive and getting rid of this. Thank God for Arkansas we're 49th, they're 50th mentality of actually having some pride in the state and being positive and like being more confident and proactive like Texas. Texas is they're very confident and proud to be Texan. We need to be just as proud to be Mississippian. So
look, one of my best friends is Texan, and she never lets me forget. Look, okay, well, I completely agree. So how do we change the narrative? How do we get cheerleaders? How does that work?
I mean, as C-Spire, just knowing from that experience here, I mean, we have a PR team that's always coming up with plans to talk about, here's why you should come to C-Spire. Here's what makes us great. And, I think Mississippi needs to do the same thing, really have an undercurrent of here are the things that drives you to Mississippi. Here's why you should come. And I think they're already doing that with the no income tax and, other all the businesses that Tate Reeves posts about that are moving to Mississippi. But I think to get more people wanting to move here, I think education is a big thing. Like school choice is a big item that could really make our schools be top notch here in Mississippi. But also figure out what are those things, those data points that people why they would want to move somewhere. Hone in on those, and then create a plan to market that across the country and say, hey, to these people in California or New York, hey, move to Mississippi. That we have X, Y, Z, and this is why you should be here, and really have a strong marketing plan to go get them.
What do you think?
No, same thing. I think the core of what Wade was even saying was what I agree with. At C-Spire, we're very intentional about things. And I think that's the thing. We can't just leave it to chance to have people speak highly of ourselves, right? Getting individuals more civically engaged. I think that's been one of the biggest things since I've moved back. And I think that needs to be said also. I'm one of the boomerang individuals, Wade as well. And Thomas, I think you spent some time away as well. It's three individuals who are Mississippi natives who did live in another city and have experienced life outside of Mississippi. And we all three chose to come back. And so I think the biggest thing for us is to be able to evangelize that there's an opportunity for us to do what these other cities are doing, putting us in place, right, where we are not just civically engaged, we're being intentional like Wade is talking about with some of the policies that are happening, making sure that individuals are engaged and that we're telling our story a lot better than anybody else can. It's too often that we hear someone say Mississippi and they just get surprised that we don't have all dirt roads, right? Yeah. It's 2026, and at the end of the day, I think we have companies that are leading in technology. We have great companies around insurance and things like that. And so being able to do what we're doing right now, be on a podcast, talk highly about what we're doing here in Mississippi, and have it from different voices. And I think that's the key piece. Making those individuals that want to be here the forefront of being here, and then making sure that our commercial is just as great as anybody else's commercial on the television about who Mississippi is.
If I was if I was in leadership in Mississippi, I would go on Zillow and I would find a really nice house that's selling for about a fourth the price of a house in Dallas or Nashville, and I would retweet that house and say, "Hey world, here's what you can get for $300,000 in Jackson. Come check it out." I think people would really be interested in that. I would try to, if I was in leadership, like I don't know if y'all have been on Instagram or X recently, but there's this big California push of we're not leaving California. Here's a great picture of the California coastline. I would do the same in Mississippi. Every time someone has a cool picture of Mississippi, I think as a state, we all need to tag the location. Hey, this is in Mississippi. This is my cool Instagram in Mississippi. I'm having this great restaurant I'm at this great restaurant in Mississippi. I think social media, people spend so much time on social media that it's free, free publicity, but we got to tag the location.
Yeah.
That'd be my two things, Zillow and put it on your social media.
Great way to, first, I guess the CPA in the group just let you know who's the CPA in the group. And then two, you're right, social media, right? Just to be very honest with it, that's, it's swung elections. It is how people consume news nowadays. And so it's a great way for us to say, let's lean into exactly where the next generation is consuming all their information about us. All the policies you mentioned, Wade, Zillow, everything we just mentioned about what's great physically here is advertised digitally. And I think that's a good way for us to be intentional again about where are we putting out our best stories.
These are great observations. I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
Okay, I noticed, Thomas, you said, if I were in leadership, here's what I would do. So who has the responsibility to promote the state? Is it state leaders
You're
only?
right. No, it's on me. I shouldn't just blame
No,
leadership.
I'm
It's on me.
asking. No, I'm asking
I think it's
who
both.
should
Yeah,
be.
they're both.
Okay. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Civic leadership is a responsibility, and I think a calling. I don't think anybody should just jump into a seat just to have it. I think it takes a lot of support. I think I have a lot of respect for anybody that goes into that level of leadership, just like a pastor or anybody else. I hope it's a calling and something you're doing for other people as a representative. But yeah, our commercial, and I would say this, as great as commercials are at C Spire, which I think everybody knows this, the best commercial that I've seen from C Spire is somebody saying, I've had your phone since it was Cellular South. Right. And speaking affectionately about that and talking about, I remember when it was free to call after 7 and we were the first to get the iPhone and all the.
can I say that I remember when it was
Do you
Cellular
remember this?
South and
Yeah.
I've got the same number for like 25 years. But anyway.
That affectionate feeling that you have when you talk about it, Mississippi needs that. Right. When we talk about things, there's a lot more things in our past that we should be discussing and in our future specifically that we can be proud about from all to all walks of Mississippi. You mentioned earlier, Wade was just talking about Morgan Freeman. It was an amazing opportunity for me this year, right? Like I was like, I don't know how I'm going to top this, being on a plane talking to Morgan Freeman, but talking to someone yeah, that's a humble flex. I just had to do it.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
I had to do it.
We're jealous.
But
You're with Wade Mina too.
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, what is it? Wade? No. Morgan Freeman and I were with Wade. Actually. That's the kind of way we put it. Sorry, but to talk about the generations and the things where we are now and all the advantages that we have, it was very humbling, to talk about it. And then all these opportunities for what's in the future. I mean, it definitely unlocked Wade, and anybody that knows Wade, unlocking him is not a hard thing to do. And he has a lot of ideas just from that conversation to some other things of what we can do better, just not only for our central Mississippi area, but the state as well. So yeah, that's whose responsibility? It's ours. Again, the best commercial is going to be us, at the end of the day. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, look, I do want to pause. You said y'all are all boomerang children. I keep calling y'all kids.
Yeah.
But just to level set for our listeners, I would love for each of you to briefly tell me your age and then your experience, sort of where you went, and then when you came back, just a little more details as why you chose here. So Wade, we'll start with you.
All right. Yeah. So I'm first went to Ole Miss and graduated there in 2017, and then went to Millsaps for grad school. So and I'm 31. I didn't say that.
Okay, but, 31. Okay.
So then I moved to Birmingham after I graduated from Millsaps grad school, and lived there for about four years, and all throughout COVID, and then moved to Nashville after that, and so then moved back here last year.
Okay, Jackson, Birmingham, Nashville, back to Jackson.
Okay, the full triangle.
Full triangle, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make mine quick. So I'm a graduate of Tougaloo College.
Okay.
And then after that, I got a job, right? Just like most individuals do. I started working at Trustmark. Went to grad school while I was at Trustmark, Jackson State. So go Tigers, go Eagles. I am an HBCU grad. Very proud of the Central Mississippi and our education system from there. And once I hit a proverbial ceiling, I guess you could say, at Trustmark, I looked over at the technology company, C Spire, right up the way, and worked there. As soon as I got there, I did so well that they kicked me out to Birmingham. And Wade and I used to compete on who would be the last person in the office. We didn't know each other at the time, but we were the last two leaving. Little did he know, I just didn't have a couch yet. I was saving up, so that's why I didn't go home. But either way, he and I met, and we both had passions for Mississippi. We always planned to come back. We talked about that. But it's just where our journey took us. And in coming back, I spent 3 years in Birmingham, by the way. And then in coming back, I was just very aggressive about being involved. Yeah. So I am on the Great City Mississippi Foundation, headed by Susan Gerard, CEO of the Children's Museum, does great work. Have a lot of influential people on that board. I still don't know how I figured it out. Wade, if you sent an email, you can go ahead and say it now on the podcast.
I heard you're friends with Morgan Freeman, so I mean.
Hey, listen, I'll just be honest with you. That might have done it, by the way. But I will say this, just coming back, just being more aggressive about being involved and being, as a friend says, being the change you want to see. And then also doing a lot of things around the city to make it the type of place that the next generation wants to be in. So
Yeah.
That's been my journey.
Okay. And how old are you? Did you say
37?
37?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. 32 years old, grew up in Jackson, went to Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia for undergrad, spent 4 years there. Went to grad school for a year at the University of Texas at Austin, and then worked at an accounting firm in Austin for 4 years before grandmom and my mom called me and said, you might want to think about coming back to Jackson to be with your family. And so you can't really say no to them. So we moved back here after 4 years in Austin.
Okay, great. Well, look, let me ask y'all this, and not to put you on the spot, but kind of. What are some of the differences that you immediately notice when you move back to Jackson that you see would either be really attractive to folks moving? I say Jackson just because that's where you are, or Mississippi, either really attractive or really like, wow, we are behind and we don't have this service or technology.
I would say what's attractive is that we just have a strong community of people that care for one another. They really want. I really feel like everyone wants people that come out of this community to do great, and they really want to pick you up and help you out, and I think there's just a really strong community feel here. It's not, I think people see Mississippi as, I don't know, the people call it a country club because so many people they know each other, and it's just like family. Even if it's just friends, it truly feels like family with a lot of the people here. That's what I see living here. Is just a lot of like a strong knit community.
Yeah. It really depends on your values. I think what you see as a benefit or a hindrance. To your point, the community is one of the biggest things here. Within a couple of days, you can meet everybody that you need to meet to do any new idea that you want to have. The access is there. I think you can sometimes get lost in that, depending on the type of person you are in a larger city where there's a lot of opportunities. You also kind of get lost in it. So I told you, I went to undergrad at a very small HBCU, privately held. And, one of the greatest things that I liked about that was everyone knew everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's a good and a bad thing, I guess you could say, but it was mostly a good thing. The access to opportunities and the access to information was pretty much streamlined from there. So I enjoy those. I'm a Southern guy. At the end of the day, the food's going to win. So I throw that out there just in case not just in case. I know we have people watching this not in the South. So our food just beats out just anywhere else.
Preach.
Sometimes it's good to you, not for you, but that's just how it works. But the other idea is that, it's a good community. And I think when we get past certain barriers that really don't exist and excuses that sometimes I've heard being made in the past, you start to see a whole lot of value. And I think people don't really know how eclectic Mississippi really is. Jackson and Mississippi both. There's a lot of people here coming through. What we've just not been able to do is just make it stick, right? Mm-hmm. You come in and you feel like, I want to spend the next 10 years here. I want to spend the next couple decades here. I think we're getting better at that. But that's the thing that misses. If someone were to go to Dallas, it sticks. It's like, I just do this. So while we have a lot of good things, just like way you were talking about the blues and stuff like that, our brand doesn't make it stick where it's like, I want to be here for the next couple of days. We can work on that.
Yeah.
Right. The big positives I would say are the community here. The people really here, I think, really are awesome. There's something different about Jackson people. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, maybe something in the water, but the people here are extremely solid. And one thing that I think is different about the Jackson community versus other communities is you can have guys, two superstars like these guys that are super humble. It's not cool to have an ego here, maybe like it is in other towns, but that's something I've noticed. It's not. People here are very understated, which I really enjoy. And people here really do care about each other. There's always exceptions, but I think the community here is awesome. The food is awesome. The pound for pound, I think we've got the best restaurant. Jackson specifically has the best restaurant scene in the country. And then the quality of, what you could, I have buddies that come to Jackson and that don't live here that visit, and they say, man, I can't believe you can do so much at 28 years old, or that in a town that if you were living in a big city, just you can't do. You can join a golf club here. You can go to a national park or go hunting or fishing or go on a run. You can, move up at your job. There's just a lot of things you can do here that they're just unattainable for millennials in other cities. So those are the great great parts about Mississippi, I think. And then the downsides, I don't think that we cheerlead ourselves. I said it earlier. It kind of ties into what you just said. We don't brand ourselves well. We kind of have a defeated attitude, and we talk poorly about ourselves. And I think that hurts us in the long run. So
living in Birmingham, it's like everyone talked about how great Birmingham is, and and they would be offended if you talked bad about it. And like it's almost like people get offended sometimes
Did you
here.
get in a fight or anything?
No, I've just seen it. It's like people will feel like you can't talk good about Jackson, and there's a lot of great things to talk about, and there just needs to be part of our brand in Mississippi and in Jackson about why all the great things that we do, and we got to get offended if people are talking bad about it, and let's stand up.
Yeah, bring in the heavy muscle like these guys. Yeah, lay down the law. Yeah,
these are like our Mississippi bouncers over here.
Right. Yeah, I'm talking bad about the SIP.
Yeah. Well, look, we're talking a lot about community engagement. I've heard civics and church life. We've talked about blues, creativity. I'm gonna get a little personal. Do you feel that you have a big enough social pool to find a spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend? I've heard this is a barrier for folks staying in Mississippi. So talk to me.
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think Jackson's a hidden gem. Yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about it. I think it's special. It's a special place with special people. I call it a hidden gem.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Thomas and I were just talking about this, and I agree. I'll put a Southern woman against anybody in the country by all values and everything in between. So it's there. I think that we're a different generation, and we're learning more things about ourselves because we have access to so much information through the internet. But when you really look at the values, and we're talking about dating, and hopefully we're dating for marriage, these are the things that I would hope people are shooting for. The values that you find in the South, in my opinion, end up being some of the things that make long-lasting, happy relationships and marriage. So that's just my opinion. Again, hidden gem, like you said. Like you said, we need to brand ourselves a little bit better or whatnot, get a little offended or whatnot. So I'll take offense to it. I'll take up for the dating pool. Again, it doesn't take quantity. Sometimes it's just quality, in my opinion. So that's what I look for.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think, per capita, I feel like the women here are strong believers, so I think it's really hard to find that, outside.
Yeah.
Outside. And Mississippi is a lot of strong believers here. And so I think that's very important.
Okay. Well, ladies listening, got lots in Jackson. And we're talking about all the positive things. And we all talk in Jackson, but in terms of Mississippi in general, are we over romanticizing the state and saying, "Oh, it's perfect. We got to get everybody back," or what are the real limitations? And this is a question, not a suggestion. So what do y'all think?
I wish we had mountains here. That's me personally. I love the mountains, the foothills of Birmingham and North Alabama and into North Carolina. But you can't move a mountain. But but that's me personally.
Yeah.
What I love hiking and doing all that. But if that was one thing that I would change about Mississippi, it would be that.
All right, so we got mountains.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to people at the end of the day. It's our best import and unfortunately export right now. We have a really good generation. There's some really, really talented people. In fact, I was born in between two really talented individuals, and I would love to get them back, right, and have comparable wages here that would be attractive for them to come back. And I think in the long run, maybe that happens. But if I could do anything, I would just love to have a cul-de-sac with my friends on it, right? I went to college with some very talented, interesting individuals. And because of career, most times, they've moved all over the country. And so making it sticky again about individuals when they graduate, I think we lose in the first few years after graduation, almost 50% of our graduates. That's ridiculous, right? So if we're not romanticizing something, it's saying it's almost like a church that doesn't bring in young individuals, it'll die at some point, right? And so that's the thing that I love to have with the state, is that we capture some of the brightest minds and they stay. They feel like they can do great work, whether it's AI, manufacturing, or anything in between. Those individuals are the ones that I feel like would make, a lot of the things we do complain about, because there are some things that's worth mentioning that are not great. It takes people to solve that, and so I think that's the idea that we probably get behind.
Yeah.
I'd chalk it up to July and August, the weather in those months. We can't change that. I will say that's a negative. We don't. Full disclosure: July and August are very hot and very humid and not super fun. But
and sometimes hurricane.
Yeah, it can be a hurricane risk. And then I'm not a big fan of January or February either. It can be kind of wet and cold, but. Springtime and the fall here are unbelievable. So you can't beat the Mississippi spring or the Mississippi fall. So, but yeah, January, February, July, and August. Those would be we can't do much about that.
All right, so we got 8 out of the 12. We're good.
Right.
We're good.
2/3 of the year.
Yeah,
right.
two-thirds. Okay, I want you to think about one friend of yours who does not live in Mississippi. What are you going to say to them to get them here? Wade, go.
I was trying to get a friend of mine to move here yesterday, and he, I would say the cost of living. I think that living in Nashville, it can be it'd be so hard to buy your first home there. You could buy your a home in Jackson for 3 times the size of the one in Nashville for half the price or more. So I would say the cost of living. But you can create an even better living here.
Yeah.
I thought about my line brother. I won't say which one. Your mother wants you to come back. What kind of man lets his mother down? So, but also maybe, I need some help. I came back. I'm in a room full of talented individuals. Look like me, don't look like me. All kinds of differences and whatnot that I call friends now. Mm-hmm. And man, I could use some help. So that one or couple people now, is more than one individual in my fraternity who has a mother here. But come back, help me build this.
Yeah, I would say do you want to buy a house and join your golf course and join a hunting club and do all the things you wanted that might take you 15 more years to do in your big city, or you want to do it next year in Jackson? That would be my big selling point, kind of, I guess, very similar to what Wade said.
And it's almost like you can be and it's not for everyone. Or, I'm just saying, like, you could be a big fish in a small pond in Mississippi, or you could be a small fish in a big pond in Texas. And so you want to come and just make an impact immediately. You come here. If you want to, you can make an impact in Texas, but just may take a little bit of time, like what you're saying, Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the idea of immediate impact. Yeah. So I'm 40, and I thought when I graduated high school, man, I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. But I'm here lifelong, and I'm so glad I am going to be a forever Mississippian. But I think about some of the reason, or actually one reason in particular I stayed, is because I ended up having a mentor in our former governor, Haley Barbour, whose campaign I worked on. So that changed my life. 17, I was like, oh, here's a campaign. This won't matter, but it ended up being the reason I stayed in Mississippi. So can you tell me, have y'all had experiences with mentors or influencers in your life that were part of the reasons you either have a work ethic or really wanted to come back and be part of the community in Mississippi?
I had a great mentor who's still a mentor to me now in Nashville. But he was he is unbelievable. Keith Phillips. He really helped me grow closer in my relationship with Jesus, and he is unbelievable. What a great guy. We had a Bible study every Thursday night at his house, and really awesome guy. I have not got a mentor here in Jackson yet, but you gonna
get Keith down here?
Yeah, maybe Keith, or I may start. I'm starting to mentor some guys at through Young Life and at the school that I went to, Jackson Prep. So
that's great. Yeah,
giving back from what other people have poured into me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I will say the same thing. Mentorship, I just want to say how important that is, first of all. Just like you with Governor Haley Barbour, you get that opportunity and it kind of unlocks you and all of your potential. It introduces you to the people that you never knew you would have met. Mm-hmm. And so I've had that. Well, first and foremost, my first mentor will always be my father. And so I see him every Sunday. I'm blessed to be able to do that because I live here. It's a big selling point for me to come back and be able to see my parents every Sunday. And then from there, Wade has a mentor. He doesn't say it, but his dad is a great mentor. He wouldn't like me to say that or whatnot. He said, don't mention me. I'm not the one that screwed you up or whatnot. But it's been great. Whenever you get some opportunity, and really all of the senior leadership at C Spire. I will say this, just as working at 2 Mississippi-based companies in Trustmark and C Spire, the executives are right here. You're literally talking to some of the best in the country at what you're doing. If you can build something that's sustainable here, it would last even bigger and better anywhere else. And I think that that's been a great opportunity for me. I've hit the lottery. I am a sheik, as Thomas has told me or whatnot. I hit the lottery with the career opportunity, and it's given me the opportunity to people like your father, or other executives or whatnot, in learning and mentoring. Susan Gerard, I consider her a great mentor in understanding how public-private partnerships work and things like that, no matter what. So, for me, there's no dull day, especially when you're playing pickleball with these two, learning how to do it. There's no dull day. I'm always doing and learning something. And I think that's something that, I'm not knocking it. You probably learn a lot of things on the Hill in Texas and other places, but again, it's all right here. And mentorship is a huge piece of that.
You should tell her who won the pickleball match.
Oh, I'll let him tell how he lost. I'll let him.
We took an L at the end. I don't know if I've had. When I was growing up here, I had unbelievable mentors: high school basketball coaches, track coaches, youth ministers. I couldn't have had a better childhood here or better mentors when I was growing up. Now I probably have a fewer mentors now, but I've had a couple guys at work that have really looked after me, and some guys around town that have been awesome leaders. Outside my family, my dad and granddad. This town, people do want to give back here, and it's not hard to get plugged in and get connected to some really. I've seen people move here and not know a soul, and then within 2 weeks, they're talking to some of the bigger movers and shakers around town pretty easily. And I think in other states, it's not that easy to get connected to the top of the state. Like I think here, Mr. Mean is a great example. It's pretty easy. It's relatively easier here to get connected to the leaders of the state versus other places.
And these two, I just want to throw this out there. They're not waiting till you're well-seasoned and matured and in your late 50s to wait to mentor the young people. Wade's actually doing something really great with this Young Life group. Thomas is working with the Murrah High School Booster Club and doing some other things or whatnot. We're all sprinkled around and not waiting until we're a certain age or certain career for us to be mentors. And I think that's going to help with these next generation, because as confident and as smart as they are, most people just need a space where I can say, I really don't know. I don't really know, and I'll probably take whatever advice you can give me, Wade or Thomas or Marcus and things like that. So again, I'm not saying that doesn't exist in other places, but it's probably a lot easier for Wade to create a Young Life mentorship group that has 20 guys in it almost, maybe more.
Wow.
Individuals, and he's mentoring now, right? As he's still learning and growing. So I think that's a responsibility while we're talking about branding also. Don't wait to mentor. We know something and being able to continue to connect with that next generation.
Yeah. As you're talking, I just keep thinking about something I hear a lot. You can just do things. Mm-hmm. And so I love the idea. You're not waiting. You're seizing the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask maybe one more question. Your opinion. Is local and state leaders, are they taking this issue seriously?
The brain drain issue?
Brain drain, losing population, doing the things necessary to attract folks to come Mississippi, live here, work here, raise families. Is this being taken seriously enough?
I think last year passing the no income tax was a really good step in competing with the Floridas and the Texas and Tennessees of the world. I think this year not passing the school choice bill, I think that's a step back of just waiting for the inevitable of us. Are we going to be great or are we going to be average? I think that's a step where people want to have the best schools in the country, and they want their kids to go to the best schools in the country and be able to afford those. So I think I would say on the state level where we have opportunity. On the local level, I think John Horn's doing some good work. I've seen
Jackson Mayor John Horn. Yeah, sorry,
Jackson
just
Mayor,
want to identify him. Yeah.
I think starting to see some promise around the town. I would like to see development around the Pearl River expansion project, and really see a full vision about how are we going to put businesses around there, how are we going to put living areas around there, how we multi-purpose use areas. Really dive into AI startups around the city, incentivize people to start businesses in the city. I think the crime's gotten a whole lot better with Capitol Police. I think the more we dive in there and really make sure everything is safe in the city, and then also bring in businesses that people can work at and thrive at, I think you'll see Jackson grow and then the state grow as well as they pass those different bills.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. I think Wade hit all the high points. Let's start at the local level. You're seeing quality of life go up in all aspects right now. There's a excitement that's there because you have other individuals who have not been engaged with the city now engaged with the city. Mm-hmm. There's promise, right? And sometimes hope carries you a long way. I think a successful plan that's supported gets you the rest of the way. And so the trajectory that we're going on so far, it's good. I will say this: we have a great or very promising top of the state. We have a very promising lower portion of the state. The central part of the state has so much opportunity to be even better. And I think that at some point now, talking about the state level, there has to be support to say, we're with you to get better. We're expecting you to get better. We're in locked arms with you to be better. So there's promise. We've been saying brain drain for a long time. Let me be very honest. This is not a topic we've not talked about. And so something that Wade and I always talk about is what is it that the state needs to attract top companies? Because we've all just talked about what's the number one reason why people leave: competitive wages and jobs. Mm-hmm. And so if we're having top schools, right, then we know those companies know they can get the top workforce of who would stay at that company. We know that those top companies coming here will probably look a little bit different than manufacturing and agriculture. So whatever we're doing at the state and local level, it should be seeds that maybe Marcus doesn't see the shade, or plant those seeds of trees that I won't see the shade of. It may be generations after me that see it, but we have to go ahead and have a concerted plan that we see through no matter who's in politics, but the policy actually outlines who's in the seat for the mayor's office to the governor's office and everything in between. So we're going in the right direction. Let me say that. And civic work is very hard. And I think our civic leaders are doing very, very hard work, excuse me.
Yeah.
So
sounds like it needs to be able to stick, like you said. We need stick and power.
Has to be able to stick. And that's our KPI. I mean, we're pretty data driven at C-Spire. So is it sticking? If their people aren't staying, then we're not doing right or we're not doing enough. Let that be the litmus test, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right, Thomas?
Yeah, I totally agree. At the state level, it seems like all the leaders at least know the brain drain is a problem, and I think they're all trying to address the problem. I think most of our state leadership has kids that are in Mississippi, so they're all incentivized to want to allow Mississippi to prosper in the coming decades. And then at the local level, the Jackson Metro level, I think that level, that leadership, they know the problem and they're working on the problem too. I don't think it's an ignored problem or a problem that no one's talked about. So I think the leadership is all aware and actively working on it at all levels.
Yeah. Okay. I have two more questions for you. These are going to be super easy, I think. All right. We've talked a lot conceptually, brain drain, how we're getting people here. Tell me, like, your favorite thing about Jackson. Can be food, can be a road. Thomas, go. What do you love
favorite
about
thing
Jackson?
About Jackson? I like just a spring Saturday when it's 65 to 75 degrees in Jackson. Crawfish are out, the beers are out.
Yeah.
Time with friends. Wide open Saturday. That's my favorite thing about Jackson.
Okay, do you suck the heads or not with the crawfish?
No, I try to. I don't. I'm actually more of a shrimp guy as I've gotten older. I'm more of I get into the shrimp more. So
okay, I'll allow it. Okay,
spring Saturdays.
Yeah, our food scene. I'm gonna go back to it. Right. I wouldn't say I'm a big foodie, but a foodie enough to say that we have a growing and prosperous scene. It's one of the biggest things that Wade and I saw when we were in Birmingham. There's a restaurant for everything.
Yeah.
think we can go toe to toe in a lot of aspects. So at the end of the day, being in the central Mississippi area, what Fondren is doing, what Belhaven is doing, what we're seeing in Meadowbrook even growing, and things like that. There's a lot of opportunity there. That's a big shout out to Jeff Good also. And people like him who are creating new opportunities for that. So yeah, I say the food, and the food only because that gives you an opportunity for people to come together.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we see Jackson thrive, is that food's great, but then it brings the best parts of Jackson together, which are the people.
That's right. Yeah. Wade, your favorite thing?
I would say, this past weekend we played pickleball at Palm Bridges. Yeah, I love pickleball. I think it's so fun. I love being around people. So if I'm hanging out with my family and cousins and our friends, that's where I want to be. I'm a people person.
I love it.
But pickleball, I love it. I can't really play golf. I messed up my shoulder in football in high school, so I had 2 surgeries there. So. Been playing a lot of pickleball and getting into tennis, and I'm starting to love the racket sports.
Yeah, I have to check in with y'all, see who's winning the next little tournament over here.
Right, these guys.
I'll add. My favorite thing in Jackson is to go over off the museum trail, go kind of all the way behind the Science Museum, behind the Children's Museum, and take advantage of our recreation and hiking trails. Yeah. At LaFleur's Bluff and Maze Lake. So just adding that. Well, y'all, we've talked about how you can do things and y'all aren't waiting to mentor folks and you're in your 30s. What do you hear as the reason folks may or may not come to Mississippi? Like, what are you telling them about things they might want to know? Nightlife, restaurants, dating. What's the priority?
Yeah. There's a couple things. If I were a new grad in the area, I think the access to some of the fun things are a lot more accessible. If you're thinking about some of the great restaurants, I've harped on that a lot. I thought that's pretty great. We have a lot of universities in a tight area. And I think one thing that we continue to do better at is intermingling those universities. So you have Jackson State, Belhaven, Millsaps, Mississippi College. Then you also have Ole Miss, Southern Miss. The radius, or at least the distance between a lot of them, is not very far. So you're going to meet a lot of individuals that you possibly wouldn't have seen in class just because of all of our universities in the central Mississippi area being so close. So the restaurants are always going to be great, right? I'll throw that out there. We do have a pretty interesting scene when it comes to theater in the Belhaven district. The outdoors, I think these gentlemen have talked about that a lot. That's where people can get together and do the best things, the things that they like the most, which is get together and have fun. Go out on the Pearl River like you were talking about and have some fun there, or some of the other places. Maze Lake, I think, does some kayaking, some things like that. And so, there's some opportunities there. But most of it has to do with just intermingling with people that are your age. And there's a prime time for that right around graduation.
And that's what you hear from those kind of like graduating college kind of, we want to be in an environment where there are folks our age and things to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, getting together. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the best times to get together are at somebody's house or their apartment, right, in college, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to always put the stress on, you have to have something to go out and do. That's true. That is great. But man, have some of the best times been in someone's backyard, playing some silly game or doing something else safe, hopefully, right?
And or at least not life-threatening.
Not life-threatening, but right on the edge, right? Like, have some fun. Those are some of the best times. So again, having that affordability to be able to do that, and then also intermingling with people that are like you, like-minded like you are, or whatnot. That's been some of the best things that happen, in at least back in my time when I graduated. So that's what I'm hearing. Again, harping on the people, and then hey, once I have that friend group, where we go, they're lucky to have us instead of for us to have to go and put the stress on them to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could echo Marcus. I mean, the Belhaven district is a lot of fun. It was great restaurants there. Elvies is a great one. Polito, Fertile Ground, Rowan's. I think there's a great district. You got Fondren. Fondren area's got some great restaurants. I think let's see. I agree with you though. Like those when people have those house parties, house get-togethers. Those are phenomenal.
It's the best time, man. Let's not
great house parties.
Let's not overcomplicate it, right? You're only going to be in your early 20s, so long, 2025, things like that.
Let's put no time limit on
no time limit, right? Absolutely.
Again,
we can throw a good house party anytime, right?
Pickleball, then house party.
And don't get me wrong, my bedtime did kind of inch up a little bit more, so I will, silently leave or whatnot. But I do think that that's the thing that Mississippi has very well, right? We do get some really good, solid people, good character individuals. And, as long as we're intermingling individuals, right, we become so digital, we know this or whatnot, that sometimes you got to put the phone down and just say, hey, let's just get together or whatnot and play pickleball, right? Let's get together and just watch the national championship game together or whatnot. Those are the things that people will remember, even more than the food sometimes, right?
I would say to a college senior, I would say if you can move to Mississippi and actually start saving money, and that money can start compounding earlier in your favor versus going to a big city and maybe making a little bit more money, but not being able to save any money, and then not being able to build that net worth nest egg. I would sell that first as a reason to stay in Mississippi, and then I would pitch the food and the food's great here. The across the state, outdoors, the sporting events, the restaurants. You can find good food and things to do wherever you are in the state, but I think it's not really about where you are; it's about who you're with. And I think the people here, you can move here and make friends with people that are going to be here forever. It's not like moving to a big city where everyone's going to move after 3 years. You can stay here now, and most of the people here are probably going to be here for the next 50 years. So I think forming those long-term relationships early on would be my selling point.
You said something, and I think we've said it. It's not like they can't go visit these places.
Right.
The good thing about Mississippi also is that we're very centrally located. New Orleans is nothing but a drive away. I've visited New Orleans way too much in my undergrad years. We have direct flights now to Nashville. You can get to Dallas in no time. And so don't get me wrong. I mean, I get it. When you're younger, you want to be in it all the time. But sometimes you end up losing the appreciation for it. And it's not a break from things. And I feel like that's been my appreciation about Mississippi is that the things I value most, my friends, my family, money, let's just be very honest, being able to save that early.
Yeah.
I'm winning here. And then I have the opportunity to go and visit and do things in these other areas, Colorado, all the way to California to see my siblings, stuff like that. So it never felt like a jail sentence for me to be in Mississippi. I get to maximize all those things, family, friends, things like that. Everything else is right there. I can get to it, drive, fly, things like that.
And I also say the churches here are awesome. I mean, First Pres is a great church.
Bible Belt.
There's a lot of, they have a lot of young adult communities there where they're playing tennis and pickleball and then doing Bible studies and really getting plugged in. So that's another thing for people coming out of college is just, that's what my dad told me when I moved, when I graduated from college, is the most important thing you can do is find a great church and really, grow your relationship with Jesus. And so I think that's the most important thing. And in Jackson and the metro area, you're going to find great churches that are going to really grow you spiritually, personally. And you may not find that in a big city.
Yeah.
Outside the Bible Belt.
Well, and I love how that just brings it back to community and anchoring of like faith and this shared trust because, you're invested. And as you said, Thomas, the folks you meet here are probably going to be here. So you kind of owe your fellow man a little bit more. So, All right, final question. I've enjoyed so much this conversation, and I am sure our listeners and viewers have too. If they want to find y'all, where would they find you on social media or where? Give us a contact.
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't have an Instagram or Facebook or Instagram. Find me on LinkedIn at Wade Mina.
All right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've taken a little bit of a sabbatical. I do have a Facebook. You can find me, Marcus Johnson. But if you want to find me, it's most time in my office. People know that about me. I'm 9 times out of 10 going to be there. Marcus Johnson or LinkedIn. You can find either one.
All right.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm tdunbar@rossandyurger.com. That's my work email address, or 601-944-9725. That's my office line, or LinkedIn, Thomas Dunbar.
I love it. So bold over
You're on
there.
Instagram, man. Come on.
Or Instagram too, but you're right. At Thomas Dunbar 1 2. So
There you go.
yeah.
That's it.
I'm on Instagram at rstapes. So
Nice.
thank y'all so much for joining the Bigger Pie Forum podcast.
Thank you.
Excited that y'all are like, look, you're talking about cheerleaders. These are the best cheerleaders.
Oh, they
Y'all
really are.
awesome.
They
They're
really are.
y'all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Thomas,
Yeah.
Marcus, Wade. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for watching, and we hope you'll tune in again to another exciting podcast from the Bigger Pie Forum.